Today, we're going to talk about a feeling I think a lot of us can relate to. That constant pressure to be better, faster, more productive. We're diving deep into the growing pushback against hustle culture, all centered around this one, simple but honestly pretty powerful idea. I'm here to live, not optimize.
This whole conversation really kicked off with a simple question somebody posted online, and it just hit a nerve. It perfectly captures that feeling of just exhaustion, right? You're scrolling through your feed, and it's endless content on how to maximize your day, hack your diet, optimize your everything, and you just have to wonder, is this all getting to be a little too much?
So, yeah, let's give this thing a name. Let's call it the optimization trap. We're going to break down what it really feels like to live in a world that is just obsessed with this never-ending pursuit of good enough.
See, here's the real kicker. Buried underneath all that well-meaning advice is this subtle, kind of corrosive message that who you are right here, right now, it isn't quite cutting it. Every single video on how to be better can start to feel like a little reminder of all the ways you're supposedly failing, and it just creates this cycle of feeling totally inadequate.
And this really presents two sides of the same coin. On the one hand, the stated goal sounds great, helping people improve their lives. I mean, who doesn't want that? But if you take a more cynical view, you could see it as this massive industry that literally profits by preying on our insecurities. Insecurities that are often made way worse by economic stress and the constant pressure to compete.
And of course, a huge part of this trap is the illusion we see online. We're shown these perfectly optimized, flawless lives, but as one person pointed out, they're often just carefully curated personas. We never get to see the real backstory, the loneliness, the struggles, all the non-material needs that go unmet behind that perfect Instagram feed.
But this pressure, it doesn't just come from our social media feeds. Oh no, it's built deep into our work culture, creating what you could honestly call an architecture of burnout.
This whole system actually has a name: digital Taylorism. Think of it as the 21st century version of that old scientific management idea. But instead of a manager with a stopwatch, companies now use algorithms and performance metrics to micromanage everything, streamlining employee behavior for maximum, and I mean maximum efficiency.
And all of this relentless tracking and measuring creates what the author Jerry Z. Muller calls obsessive measurement disorder. It's where the focus on hitting the metrics becomes so intense that it actually backfires. It stifles the very performance and creativity it's supposed to be boosting. It basically becomes a tyranny of data.
So what's the result? Well, you get a system that actively devalues an employee's hard-won skills and experience. Your professional judgment, your intuition, it all takes a backseat to what the algorithm says. It leads to what some have called a systematic annihilation of professional creativity.
Okay, so that sounds a little bleak, right? But here's the thing. This widespread feeling of burnout has sparked a global rebellion. And it's all built on one really powerful idea. You are not alone in feeling this way.
A perfect example of this is Tang, which translates to lying flat. It's a movement where young people in China are basically rejecting the rat race. Instead of hustling 24/7, they're choosing to do just the bare minimum to get by. It's their way of protesting a culture of insane overwork.
And this isn't just happening in China, not by a long shot. This is a worldwide phenomenon. You've got quiet quitting in the US, which is the exact same idea. You've got Japan's freeders who are choosing freelance gigs over those rigid corporate careers. And in South Korea, the Sampo generation is giving up on major life goals like marriage because of economic pressure. Young people everywhere are pushing back.
Okay, so if trying to optimize every second of our lives is the problem, what's the alternative? Well, maybe it's the complete opposite. Maybe it's about embracing the power of serendipity. Finding value in the unplanned and in just letting things happen.
And it turns out, doing nothing can be incredibly productive for our well-being. When we actually step away from the grind, we're not just reducing stress. We're giving our minds the space to wander, which is where creativity comes from. It helps us come back to our work with better focus and gives us those quiet moments we need for real self-reflection and for building up our emotional resilience.
Which brings us right back to that online discussion. One person summed up their journey so perfectly. After burning out from constantly trying to discover some new, better version of themselves, they finally found peace. The shift wasn't about striving anymore. It was about simply allowing.
And that really gets to the heart of this entire rebellion. It's a simple but honestly profound shift in perspective. The goal isn't to become the most efficient, optimized version of yourself.
The goal is to actually experience your life.
So I'll just leave you with this to think about. In the middle of the daily rush, maybe just take a second to ask yourself, are you truly living or are you just optimizing?